I recently rode up a local climb called Edney's Lane. This is actually one of my favourite climbs as it's fairly testing at 3 kilometres long and with a steady gradient of about 3%. As I was riding up, I knew I was on for a good time. I felt strong and the wind was behind me. And indeed, when I got home and checked Strava, I could see that I'd achieved a second best time, only 13 seconds behind my all-time PR when I was chasing a lady cyclist up there kind of Benny Hill style. On the one hand, I was reasonably pleased that I managed a second best time, particularly because I've had yet another couple of days off the bike. But then, like most of us wild-eyed tigers on the road to Strava glory, I was a bit disappointed that I didn't manage to get the PR. I've been on Strava pretty much from day one, and it was really exciting in those early days seeing those little trophies on my feed indicating that I've achieved some sort of success. But fast forward 5 years or so and those little trophies are becoming fewer and far between. Now this is probably down to several things, the main two being riding the same old routes time after time and of course not being quite as young or as fit or as light as I once was. Thankfully, I'm quite a way off of drawing my old age pension and receiving my free bus pass, but I think I'm just going to have to suck it up and admit it to myself that from now on, these little achievements on Strava are going to be rare events. I mean, there has to come a point for everybody when it becomes physically impossible to improve on their times. Or does it? Perhaps if I pull my finger out, I can raise my game. Maybe I need to be made of belief and not barriers. One of the big things you can do to improve your overall cycling is join a club. Riding on your own is great, but unless you're some kind of weird masochist, you're never going to be able to push yourself hard enough on a solo ride to see big improvements. For that, you need to ride with people who are faster than you are. Also, if you want to race, either proper road racing or time trials, you need to be part of an officially recognised club. Today, finding some chums has never been easier. Sometimes it's as easy as just Googling local clubs in your area or checking the various online databases. Most real-life clubs also have virtual clubs on Strava these days, and the app's clever algorithm can even suggest local ones in your feed. A good club will have some kind of regular club run, where you meet up on a street corner somewhere at some god-earthly hour on a Saturday or Sunday morning. No, I'm not a morning person either. From there, you'll ride off for a couple of hours and you'll usually have a tea stop or a cafe stop halfway in. These rides are partly social, partly training, so it's a great way to meet like-minded people and discover new routes. If you're at all worried about keeping up on these club runs, don't let that put you off. Chances are, if you're new to cycling, you will struggle to hold the wheel in front, but a decent club won't just ride off and leave you. From time to time, they will stop, wait and regroup, giving you the opportunity to catch up and to get your breath back. Before you know it, you will be able to stick with the bunch. One thing to think about when selecting a club is that they're all slightly different, so try to pick one that's interested in your type of riding. For instance, if you mainly want to ride sportives, it might not be a good idea to join a club that focuses on road racing. And similarly, it's also a good idea to look for a club that has a reasonable amount of members that are the same age as you. Yesterday I had yet another civic-minded motorist remind me that because I don't pay road tax, I shouldn't be on the road. Now, I'm a reasonable man and I can appreciate that due to the traffic conditions and whatnot, she had some difficulty overtaking me. But oddly, once she had overtaken me, she pulled over and we had a lively debate about the rules of the road. My first thought was that her need for speed was due to the fact that she was transporting human organs to the local hospital for transplant, but it turns out she was just trying to get her kid home to feed it. Now, to paraphrase our conversation, she felt that roads here in the UK were meant for cars, which is why she paid road tax and I didn't. Now, when I pointed out to her that there was no such thing as road tax, she indicated that she didn't believe me. And then unfortunately, from there, the conversation went somewhat downhill. The concise answer to this particular legal conundrum is that anybody who says that cyclists shouldn't be on the road because they don't pay road tax is a f***ing idiot. However, the slightly more grown-up answer is that the so-called road tax that motorists pay is actually vehicle excise duty, a tax based on engine emissions. The higher the cc the engine, the more they pay. Obviously, bikes don't create any emissions, and therefore us cyclists don't need to pay it, even though we kinda do. A handy hint here is that when confronted by an angry motorist, I would always offer them the slightly more grown-up answer rather than the concise one, particularly if you don't fancy a hysterical woman screaming at you by the side of the road. Unfortunately, encounters like this are becoming all too frequent. I very often have people shout things at me from cars or toot their hooters, and that's fine. But yesterday was a first in nearly 40 years of cycling. Personally, I feel that discretion is the better part of valour, and the trick is to try and ignore any abuse that motorists might throw at us. Reacting to it with your own anger can often make things worse, so just stay zen. They're probably just desperately unhappy because they're ugly and they have a fat ass. Thanks for watching.